feel like a rock star with the mic. Please regard everything you're about to hear as another opinion. You actually cannot speak truth with a capital T in this language. You can only describe intersecting realities. So if whatever we say rings true to you, use it. If not, pitch it out the window. You are the only person running your reality. And by the way, don't quote me. You hear what you hear through your pictures of reality. You do not hear what I say. So when somebody says, what did Tach say? Say, well, what I heard is, I hear the damnedest stuff I allegedly say. Hi, I'm part of something called the Council of Ein Sof. It's a council of 36 light beings that are made up of councils, and I'm one of the ones incarnate from the council. So I'm sort of the point man. And we look at what's going on this planet in a pretty wide viewpoint. The Council of Ein Sof's job is to figure out ways to allow ascending universes to merge smoothly. You are on a small planet in an ascending universe. On this planet, the Council of Ein Sof's program is called Angelic Outreach. It would be really helpful for me if I could do show of hand stuff so I know kind of what people have accessed. How many of you read What is Light Body? How many of you read the Ascension Handbook? How many of you have accessed extraterrestrial Earth missions early work? Okay, because those councils work, our councils work closely together. And how many of you have worked with Drumbelow? Cool. That kind of helps me know where to talk from. It kind of gives me an idea. If at any point I use a term you don't understand, please stand up and say, define that term. I'm extremely irreverent. I live my life by absolutely no rules. Which means, if you live your life by spiritual rules, I'm going to piss you off. And that's just the way it is. So good to be your stimulation. If spiritual rules could ascend the planet wouldn't be in this dimension. If spiritual rules could ascend your body, your ass wouldn't be here. Because that's all it's ever been here. So now you know where I come from. And those of you who need to leave now can go. The rest of you, let's party. A lot of stuff's been going on planet. And the stuff going on planet has been affecting people pretty deeply. For those of you who listened to Drumbelow's talks and worked with Drumbelow, you heard a version of it, a version that I totally and absolutely agree with. It's just a different way of seeing things. The magnetic fields are pretty erratic, and they are sending people pretty crazy. There are other things that are going on. We talk in terms a lot of something we call the hologram. For those of you who are Star Trek Next Generation fans, welcome to planet Earth. You are on the holodeck. We are reprogramming the computer. There are some glitches. And one of the things that's happening is the glitches in the hologram are starting to show up pretty intensely. You're starting to see that background grid. And yeah, there are powers that be that say, you know, don't notice that man behind the curtain, but it's kind of hard not to notice anymore. When I talk a lot about the hologram, I talk in terms of the hologram as a geometric structure. Think of it like a projector. And that projector is projecting out your pictures of reality and everybody's. Up until the end of February of this year, your bodies have been mutating at different levels of what we call light body. And that mutation is a genetic shift. It is not optional. If you're in a body, you are mutant. It's not an optional process. And up until the end of February, that mutational process, the changes each of us have gone through individually, have been shifting the outer reality. And for the most part, that is still true. Every time you decide to make heaven on earth real, the universe begins to rearrange itself to accommodate it. So live heaven. But this thing happened. In the third dimensional reality, the structure of space-time in the hologram was a cubic structure. Any of you ever played with cubes, you know they don't merge real well with anything else. This is what allowed you to have the illusion of past, present, and future, and the illusion that you live in only one parallel reality of this planet. As you've probably noticed, over the last 3 years, time has been speeding up. If you have been trying to get the same amount of stuff done that you got done in a day 2 years ago, you're pretty much nuts. Because you got about a quarter of a day. I get people call me up and go, I wake up, I have coffee, it's time to go to bed, how do I get anything done? And I say, follow your spirit. Each breath and each step. Well, this really cool thing happened, starting at the end of February. As the planet goes through her ascension process, time speeds up. In other words, it collapses. And space, the aspects geometrically in the hologram, begin to expand. Well, this cool thing sort of happened that sent everybody insane, which is the spatial aspects of the hologram began to expand faster than time was collapsing. So that meant that everybody got real irritable, because every closed system you hold in your mental and emotional body began to collapse. And yes, this is connected to the magnetic shifts on planet. And it is connected to the frequency shift on planet. It's all one thing. It's all one thing. One beautifully coordinated divine thing. But what we watched is, oh, March, people pretty much wanted to find some asshole they could wring their neck because they were absolutely miserable. If I could just find who to sock for me feeling this bad. And systems started to collapse. And physical bodies started to resist. So most of you have had allergic reactions that you've never had since the end of February. We've seen people with hives, autoimmune system stuff, all over the place. That's a form of resistance in the body to the change. And the thing that's felt so weird is that for the first time it feels like the mutation of your physical body is being fueled by what's happening outside of you, instead of the mutation on the inside fueling the changes on the out. So most people have felt pretty out of control. Now, over the last 2.5 weeks, I think it was I didn't know that the magnetic field had stabilized. Started to notice that people started to move into 9th level light body. Now, in the model we use, the overall, what we call the positioning teams, the majority of the planetary population, whose job it was to play this game with gusto. I should back that up and talk about it. I can tell in the synergistic entity it wants to hear about that. I pretty much regard that the entire game that is played here has been played for a divine purpose. And that purpose was not to learn anything. It wasn't about learning something. Learning something was a structure of playing the game. For the ascension of all of creation, you have to have a catalyst. To have a good catalyst, you have to create a game of separation so severe that there's really a doubt if people are going to make it back. And you have to put that game on a little bitty mud ball in the farthest flung galaxy you can get a hold of. Welcome to planet Earth. So you guys who are positioning team, who were in 8th level light body, now moving to 9th, I consider that you had the tougher job, because your job was to get in here and play this game as if it was real, with a capital R, and play it for all you were worth. And every single being on this planet pretty much had the same prime directive. Get in here, get in the hologram, play the game for as close as you can. Try and make it as real as you can. So for those of you who've been beating yourself up because you went to sleep, I'd like you to pat yourself on the back for a job real well done. It is so hard for a divine being to pretend that they are limited. You are all vast, multidimensional masters. There is no exception to that statement as far as I am concerned. I may not like somebody. I may think there are ways to space. But I know they are a divine master, a vast, multidimensional being who has come here to serve in some way. See, this year is a pretty cool year. This year is a year based in divine will and manifestation. So I know that every single one of you has gotten to experience and play with something we call your DA, your designated asshole. You see, the universe rearranges itself according to your pictures of reality, which means you are the director and the writer of the play. Everybody you encounter is playing a role in your play. And the way you can tell a DA, this person comes to your space, you just want to, oh God, totally want to deny, you are not God. You, everybody else is God but you. That's your DA. And the way you know you got a DA is you pitch him out of your life, 2 weeks later you got somebody else does the same exact shit. You know you got it then. So it's a divine mastery, manifestation, and will year. It is a year where oneness is coming together at levels humanity has never known. In the midst of wanting to kill everybody, of course. So I know you all got to deal with your DAs. The positioning teams have been an 8th level light body in the model that we use. That means they've been going through tremendous brain changes. Can't remember what you ate for breakfast. Can't talk in complete sentences. Have no idea what people are saying to you. Bright flashes of light, tones in the ears, don't know where the hell you are. Spending lots of money looking for the brain tumor. 8th level light body, as far as I am concerned, is the coolest level of light body. Because by the time somebody hits the 8th end of 8, they know something bizarre is going on here. Well, we're starting to see people start to move into 9th. Now I should talk briefly about the transition teams. So we got the positioning teams who were sent here to play the game with gusto. They have carried the majority of the work. I honor you. Transition teams, there's between 7 and 9 million at any given one point in any given parallel reality. Their job is to come in and go, what? What? You make that, what? That's real? What? That's their main job, is to walk around going, I don't get it. And by simply walking around saying, I don't get it, everybody else goes, well, maybe I don't get it either. Transition team job. Most of the transition teams are in 10th level light body. The planet herself, in the way we measure, is in 10th. The transition teams on the planet at this point are holding a poll for the positioning teams to move to. Now, moving into 9th level light body. I need to talk about this because I'm concerned. 9th level light body is one of the harder levels of light body. Because 9th level light body is the awakening. It is, as Earth Mission used to call it, the disillusionment. A beautiful phrase. Because everything you think is real is likely to go to hell around your ears. Whatever you make real, whatever you make more real than following your spirit, whatever you make more real than heaven on earth, will collapse. And so, starting 3 weeks ago, the crisis calls started to come into angelic outreach. So I know that transition is starting. You gotta pardon me, I usually breathe better than this. I'm not used to this anymore, this lack of air. So what I ask you is, if you are beginning to feel extreme, not at this conference, but when you leave here, if you go through feeling like you are extremely alienated, like you can't connect to anyone, can't connect to spirit, for you women, extreme hormone imbalance, there are some symptoms that go with this. For you men, feeling like you're going crazy, you are probably going into 9th level light body. And for those of you who are in 10th who are getting bleed through, because a lot of us are, it's like unified field, get everybody else's energy out of your field. But the positioning teams are starting to move into 9th. 9th level light body, all of the reality begins to collapse. And it is connected to the magnetics and the frequency and all that other stuff. Now, what you can do it with gusto. Go through the center. When you feel like you're alone, there's nobody, you're not connected to anything, and couldn't I just die? Say, Spirit, require of me whatever it takes. Wake me the fuck up. Because every single part of you that feels that it's asleep is going to get real aware it's asleep. Now, having been through this process more than once, I can tell you it's not pretty. It's generally not a good time. So do your best to keep your sense of humor about you, as you can. If you can laugh at it, you can get it. Merlin used to say that laughter is the highest form of truth on this planet, if not the only form of truth. So try to get your sense of humor. Deliberately do things that make you laugh. Usually the more perverse, the better. Because you understand, most of the spiritual techniques on this planet live a way of like denying parts of yourself. Angelic outreach says fierce wholeness. What you are as a divine being is completely inclusive of everything you are as a third and fourth dimensional being. It is incredibly humanly arrogant to assume that something you think is wrong with you is not divine. Who do you think created it? What part of all that is do you want to make not part of all that is? Every single thing you think is wrong with you, every limitation, every issue was designed by your spirit in service to the ascension of this planet. Every single bit of it. Ooh, let that soak in. It's going to get loud. Multidimensional toning. I talk in a bunch of ET languages. None of that was ET. It's either frequencies of conscious transition or angelic, so no weird ET stuff out the mouth at the moment. But at any moment, it could happen. So, we know it's coming. This next year is going to be a year of incredible shift. Now, most of you have been having a rough time this year because space and time are changing around you constantly. Constantly. Which means if you're used to measuring your rhythm according to a calendar or according to linear time, you totally feel like you're off all the time. Like you're not in sync with anything. The only thing that you can do at this level of change, only one thing practically works. Follow your spirit without hesitation, each breath and each step. And I mean each breath and each step. It is the only thing that works. Nothing else will work. None of your rules will work. Just because it was one way an hour ago does not mean it will be that way 10 minutes from now. Really. Just because the pants were purple yesterday, they may be orange tomorrow. Get used to it. Most of you have been running around your houses lately searching for some lost object. The iron. Now, if you will notice at the time you were searching for the object, you didn't really need it. Catch this stuff. When you need it, it'll be back where it was. You will find life a lot easier if you will talk to your spirit and ask your spirit to build in firmly, emphatically, and radically a picture of reality that all things are provided by spirit on an as-needed basis. This will save your sanity because you'll quit running around the house spending all that time looking for something you didn't need anyway just because you noticed it wasn't where you left it. And it means you'll quit worrying about money. You'll quit worrying about resources. How's it going to happen? Everything provided on an as-needed basis is a level of psychic and energetic and emotional security you can't imagine. You can't imagine until you have shifted to that place. It is peace at levels that are incredible. And we're not talking about, gee, it's okay because it happened. I hate that stuff. That's victim positioning to the universe. I hear that a lot. My divine essence is divine will. I'm designed to shift things. So if I don't like it, I'm going at it. Just because it happened doesn't make it okay with me. Allowing your spirit to provide everything on an as-needed basis means that you're going to hit some points as your spirit is deconstructing your survival structures and your control structures where you're going to think it's needed and it's not. You may have the experience of your spirit putting through a project. You're going to do this, 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 and this. And it's going to cost this, 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 and this. And you get to the end of that and suddenly the money's not there. What and how will you react? Your spirit may set it up just so the structures can collapse. It is a blessing. It hurts, but it's a blessing. As you move into 9th level light body, ask your spirit to wake you up. Do whatever it takes. Require of me whatever it takes. Begin to go through the center. There is nothing to learn. There is nothing to get. You are just becoming what you really are. So for those of you who do process addiction, I want you to know that the core addiction of process addiction, and I want you to just think about it. If you're one of those people that's constantly processing, I want you to think about that the core energy of process addiction is, what if I process all my stuff and I'm still an asshole? You will never finish, because you don't want to find that out. Much better declare yourself an asshole and get it over with. If asshole is part of your wholeness, why should you resist it? Your spirit built it. It's holy. What part of you do you want to not make holy? Now, as you move toward living heaven, which we always say is sort of the goal, it's like live heaven, chip away anything that doesn't look like heaven to you. Quit participating in that which does not look like heaven to you. Life gets easier, actually, after it's fallen apart. It stayed. After it falls apart. Now, what AO tells you, we tell you, we may not make your lives easier, but we'll definitely make them better. Easier is not necessarily better. When you decide to follow your spirit with each breath and each step, your spirit will require of you at levels you can't even imagine. And you will do it. And you will co-create with other beings who are dedicated to living heaven. One of the main shifts that happens as your consciousness moves what we call fifth dimensionally, you find that you are completely accepting of what you are as a third and fourth dimensional being. In other words, if you're being an asshole, you do it with gusto. We talk about doing it with gusto. And the reason we do this is because most of the spiritual practices on the planet are designed to keep you denying parts of yourself. If you are in a place where you are denying or fighting with or processing parts of yourself, you're probably not operating from your divinity, because your divinity will include it. Okay? The difference is that if you're operating third dimensionally, all you're focused on is what is wrong with you. And you're trying to earn or learn your way out of here. If you're focused fourth dimensionally, you're a recovering human, and you are trying to save, heal, or fix yourself, everybody else, or the planet. You're still focused on what's wrong with you and everybody else. And when you go fifth dimensionally, you become focused on heaven and building heaven on earth with other people. And stuff comes up. It isn't like instantaneously you're perfected. Oh, I'm never going to be pissed again. Right. Not if you use divine will, you'll be pissed plenty of times. allowing yourself to be whole. When it comes up, the difference is it comes up, you go, yeah, it's part of my wholeness, but it's out here. It isn't your whole vision. It's, okay, Spirit, what do you want me to do with it? You want me to ignore it? You want me to process it? You want me to go work with somebody? You want me to go to this workshop? What do you want me to do with it? It no longer is your reality. Processing yourself is no longer the goal. Over the years, Ariel has been known to beg people to quit processing. And the reason for that is because if you make processing what is real for you, the universe will rearrange itself around it ad nauseum. And you will have so much to process that you will have no way that you can follow your spirit or live heaven. Because you'll process all of this life, all your genetic line, every incarnation you've got, you'll start processing the entire planet. Then you'll start processing other planets. You're all incarnate on at least 350 other planets. At least. You'll start processing those. You have effectively eliminated yourself as a person who can co-create heaven. Now, this doesn't mean that stuff doesn't come up. It does. But it's no longer the goal. The goal is living heaven and following your spirit. Anything that gets in the way of that goal will be dealt with swiftly and cleanly. You just go, Spirit, what do you want me to do with this? Spirit goes, go work with that person. We're going to clear this. Boom. Be ready for tremendous amounts of change. Over this next year, the level of change on this planet will be amazing. The level of collapse of existing systems over the next 2 years will be breathtaking. If you live your life, everything is provided by Spirit on an as-needed basis. You need to never live in fear. Because it doesn't make any difference what collapses. Period. It's there. And by the way, I've had a few people misinterpret me when I say that everything provided by Spirit. This does not mean you get to sit on your butt and have paper bags full of money dropped on your front porch. If you follow your Spirit, you're going to work your butt off. We're co-creating a new world here. There's stuff to do. It's cool. It's cool. So we talk about fierce wholeness. So what we're looking at now is the majority of the world population, the positioning teams, are going to begin to go into 9th level light body. This requires of you, all of you, no matter what team you're part of, a very high level of compassion. Some of the greatest service you will do is the simple one-on-one touching of human being to human being, saying, it's okay, honey, it's going to be all right. That simple, gentle reassurance is so important, especially when someone feels alienated. It may be the highest service you can do. Never underestimate the service you do one-on-one, one human being to another. Yeah, it's not some great mission. Who cares about the great mission? Everybody has the same mission. Follow your Spirit without hesitation. Each breath and each step is the same mission. Everybody has the same mission. If you regard that is the mission, and everything else is entertainment, you'll stay in balance. The second you go off trying to do the mission, you're screwed. Because that mission is changing second to second, moment to moment. Spirit will lead you off one track, you work your butt off to get here, and suddenly all the signature drops out of it, and you're like, what? That was all it needed to get done. That was all it needed to happen. So that's what I look at a lot. You know, it's like, if you can regard everything else as entertainment and stimulation, you'll stay in balance. Please regard everything we're doing as stimulation. And hopefully I'm being entertaining. How many angels does it take to screw in a light bulb? 2. 1 to screw in the light bulb, 1 to be the light. So, keep telling yourself jokes. Come up with jokes, humor. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there on the planet That bugs the hell out of me. And you should know, rules. I mean, the second you hit rules, I know I've got you upset. That's just the way it is. Bring on the dancing girls, give me a steak and a beer and a cigarette. Especially the dancing girls. But living without rules is a real challenge. Because if you live without rules, you will constantly have people telling you that you're going to die. And the reason you will have that is there's a structure of the karma game. Now I want you to know the dark forces. Oh, look how serious the room just got. Oh, bugga bugga. The dark forces. Shit, most of us have been dark forces. Don't worry about it. Planet Earth is Dungeons and Dragons. You roll up a roll and you play it with gusto. Good, evil, dark, light, in our opinion, only exists in the third and fourth dimensions. They are an illusion and a structure of this game. Once you go fifth dimensional, it's heaven on earth. Everybody follows their spirit. Everybody does whatever they're directed to do, with who they're supposed to be with, doing what they're supposed to do at the time they're supposed to be doing it. It's easy. It's this in-between place that's so tough. So periodically people get real bunged up about the dark forces. The dark forces are waking up too. They started out as light beings. They had a job to do. Hi, God says, could you please create a game of separation so much that everybody forgets their God? And they went, who, me? And the more capable of you said, I'll give it a try. The ones who said, yeah, I got some faith in my capability, said, I'll put on the cloak. You sit in the fifth dimension and go, you gonna wear the cloak this time? Nah, I want to carry the light sword. You carried the light sword last time. Yeah, but you wear the cloak so good. Yeah, you're right, I do it good. All right, I'll wear the cloak. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's the hologram. So anyway, most of the time what the dark forces are doing right now is their main job is to show you where you hold enemy patterning. Their main job is to show you where you say, you are not God. That's their main job. So if the dark forces are on your butt, turn around and go, yeah, you're light, I get it, fine, go away. You want to go to dinner? Have a beer. If you don't have enemy patterning, nothing attacks you. If you're not trying to protect yourself, you got nothing to protect against. The universe rearranges itself to accommodate your pictures of reality. It is the gift of consciousness. And the cool thing that's going down on the planet now is subjective reality is breaking down. And objective reality is breaking down. So you have two people who could stand there, one sees a transit bus, and the other sees a Ferrari. And then they can argue about which it was. Well, in one reality it was a transit bus, and the other it was a Ferrari. Then you used to be walking around, it was a Merkaba. The main thing is to follow your spirit. That is really it. Everything else is entertainment. If you can let it be entertainment, the skills and abilities you build are part of it. The stuff, Angelic Outreach's job has been to feed in some pretty strange information into the hologram, to build very practical tools for people to follow their spirit. When I say follow your spirit, people go, great, thanks, Touch. What are you talking about? Building in technologies to allow people to do that. How you can step into the point of mastery in your life. But we ask that if you learn a technique and you use something that Angelic Outreach does, or anybody does, don't make it a rule. Make it a tool. When your spirit says use it, use it. If you don't use it, don't worry about it. Sometimes it's there for future reference. But don't make it a rule. Allow following your spirit with each breath and each step to be the joy of your life. Live heaven to the best of your ability. And if anything doesn't look like heaven, boot it out. It's not worth your energy. It's not worth it. There's going to be a lot of stuff to be afraid of. All the stuff that went on, I'm going to Drumflow's talk, all the stuff that got talked about is true. So what? Yeah. It's true in somebody's reality. Great. We have this, like, for those of you who are still third dimensionally oriented, we want you to know he of the highest light wins. It's not dying with the most toys. He of the highest light wins. The universe will rearrange itself according to your pictures of reality. The hologram is becoming so flexible that people are living completely without consensus. And that's going to increase. So allow yourself to honor what is real for you and work with it as part of your wholeness. If there are parts of your reality that don't look like heaven, say, Spirit, what do you want me to do with this? Don't deny that it's there. Okay, synergistic entity is saying, okay, actually, synergistic entity is the collective of everyone in this room and everyone who will ever hear this tape or see this video, ever, at a higher level. So the synergistic entity is saying, talk about the orientation of separation. So a little bit of data for you. Third, in the emotional body, the separation orientation is, you feel, the separation from God is the energy of shame. When someone cannot take the feeling of shame, they outpicture it as hatred. In other words, shame is I am not God. Hatred is you are not God. And they get a little spiritual rules under their belt, and they become what's called spiritually significant, which is I'm God and you're not. I'm God, not, and you're not sounds like things like, well, why have you created that? If you were more spiritually evolved, these things wouldn't happen to you. Oh, please. The will axis, or action axis, is guilt in the separation orientation of I have done something cosmically wrong. When you can't take that energy anymore, it'll outpicture as blame. You have done something cosmically wrong. Get a little spirituality or spiritual rules under the belt, becomes spiritual ambition. And that usually looks like, and you got to hear lots of this earlier, if you would just get with my program, we could all live in heaven on earth. It's your fault I'm not happy. How many of you heard that one? Mental body axis is doubt. And I don't mean just like, gee, I don't know. I mean doubt that's paralyzing. That kind of, I know nothing. It outpictures as derision. You know nothing. Then it gets out to its like farthest thing and it becomes something called spiritual authority, which as I know it all and you don't. So you can note, if you can recognize those patterns, you'll find it really easy when somebody comes at you with one of those structures to realize that they're coming from a place of separation. There are things that are called the dark 4C crystallizations. And they are the underpinnings of the game. And they all sound like, I must blank, 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 in order to survive. I must know all the right things to say, the right way to look, the right way to be, in order to survive. I must appear responsible and be seen as a good person in order to survive. I must never trust my intuition in order to survive. I am dangerous and must be controlled in order to survive. I got that one. That's one of my personal favorites. We all have them. There are lots of them. So when you start to follow your spirit without hesitation, and each breath and each step, and live heaven, really well-meaning people who love you, this is from love, will say, I'm worried about you. I don't think you can do what you're doing and survive. Listen to the and survive. Now, it isn't that they're trying to screw with you. It's really done from love. The person is talking from the best reality they got a hold of. So don't try and educate them. Thank them for how much they love you. and that you understand that they're speaking to you from love, and that's what they mean. And say to them, I'm being directed to follow my spirit without hesitation. It's time to live heaven. I understand you're afraid for me. Please understand I don't live in fear. I live without rules. Living your life without rules means you piss people off. I guarantee, if you got a rule, I'll push it. I don't even know you. I've had people get up and stomp out of rooms. I've got no clue till later, because they never ever tell you what you've said, by the way. I have found. People that you piss off because you violated a rule never confront you with it. They leave and talk about you behind your back. That's what I've always found, anyway. You know, but if you live without rules, you will make people angry. Some of the best advice ever came from a being called Ilarius. He's a channel through extraterrestrial Earth mission. And the best advice I ever heard out of any entity: rules are closed systems. And he used to say, if you try to enter a closed system, it will attempt to destroy you. So when you come up on somebody who's got a closed system, and you can tell you're stimulating it, don't try and convince them of anything. They will attack you. All dark force C crystallizations have attack mechanisms on them. Say, I can see you're living there, have a good life, bye. Have a good time. You know, it's okay. One of the things that, I mean, this is a conference on star visions, on oneness. And oneness, I'm a walk-in. I'm going to quote my previous occupant who had one of the world's worst mouths. You should know. But she used to do really, really political. She was real political. And she said all political cooperation is like tapioca. You can get it down your throat, but it's pretty damn lumpy. Well, a lot of what I watch spiritually is spiritual tapioca. Where it's like, okay, the dark force sea crystals say we all have to agree on something to co-create. And that's not true. It's the difference that makes it exquisite. How you see reality. No two beings in a body will ever experience reality the same way. It's the gift of consciousness. So co-creation is like, okay, where can we play together? Or, gee, we don't really have a lot of common ground here. Have a good time. And walk away. Don't try and make it fit or make it work. The difference between something we call transpersonal, which is vertical connection to spirit, and horizontal, which is karmic, is the differences in the reaction when somebody disagrees with you. If you're in horizontal positioning, you want to convince that person. You want to come to a place where you agree. Transpersonal says, I have my reality and you have yours. Have a good time. I don't have a signature from my spirit to participate here. It isn't that they have to change. Karmic positioning says, I don't like this and you have to change. Transpersonal says, I don't like it and I'm out of here. It's the main difference. You don't have to change. I don't care what you do. But I'm going to do what I do. You know? It's just sort of a difference in positioning. Where are we on time? Ha! All right, you got 5 minutes to ask me anything. Oh, good. I always love it when there's no questions in a room. It means I've scrambled your mental body to the point that it gives up. Oh, we got to die hard. Mr. Purple. He doesn't know what he's saying. Come here. Come here. Love the socks. Now, what was that? Do it. Tell them.
I wanted to ask, if we're co-creating and we're... That's it.
Do it. No, I just did this behind your head. It's okay. I'll behave, I'm sorry.
How are we supposed to change, or how, there's a lot of bad out there. How, if we're just supposed to walk away from it, how's that gonna?
Yeah, come here. No, that's good. That was great, actually. I love that. Because that's the point. Every day you make choices. And the question is, Spirit, in this now point, what do you want me to do with it? That's all it is.
Okay.
One of the cool things happens as you start to really follow your Spirit without hesitation, things get really simple. They get really digital. Spirit, there's a signature? Yes, no. And you don't have to know why or how or anything. And then one day you show up and you're in a room like this full of really cool people. You go, God, how'd I get here? Spirit said, come. You said, why? Spirit said, just go. Okay, fine.
Okay.
And you don't know. You don't know ahead of time. You don't have ahead of time. You just quit participating. It's like there are things that happen. It's like, no, it's there. I'm not talking about being stupid, and I'm not talking about denial. All right, we'll do the dark force shit. Yes, there is a secret government there trying to control you. They're going to number you. They're going to put you in a computer. They're going to sell you into slavery to some reptilian horde beyond the Orion Belt. Yeah, right. You and what army? He of the highest light wins. You have no power here. Oh, God with you. There's no place like heaven. There's no place like heaven. The entire planetary population is really figuring out, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. So I've been pretty riotous here. So this workshop thing, you should know I never ever know what I'm doing before I do it. I don't know what I'm going to say till it comes out of my mouth. I don't edit. Can you imagine living your life without editing? I hear what I say when I say it. There's no editing process anymore. Whatever Spirit needs to say through this mouth, I will say. So, as to the workshop, I don't know what we're doing. Do you? If I have to lay good bets, what's going to go on at the workshop is I'll look around the room and say, okay, what do you need? And we'll figure out the techniques you need to make your life easier in the transition you're in. So that's my best guess. Could be wrong. I got 5 minutes. Hello? Come on down! Well, you incarnated. Okay, yell.
What is a walk-in? When do I get rid of my reactions to my parents?
Well, they're totally different things. Oh, God, a thumbnail on walk-in. I am not the original soul spirit that inhabited this body. This body was prepared for me by another being who is part of the Council of Ein Sof, who has had a lot more human experience than I have. She led the equivalent of 4 lifetimes worth of experience in 28 years. Because my job was to come in with almost no human orientation. And what little I had was pretty screwed up. I came in the body 100% male energy. How many of you have seen Total Recall? The movie Total Recall? Being a walk-in is just like Total Recall. You take a neural impression of the cultural and social background that you're walking into. I walked into 2 bodies at once. The fat girl mystic from Ohio orientation walked into the 7th Dawn male martial artist sexist pig in Japan. And the 7th Dawn martial artist sexist pig in Japan orientation walked into this body. I didn't know what happened to me. I spent a year going, tits, what am I supposed to do with this body? Seriously. And then the seventh dimensional aspect finally came in like 93, 92, named Tashira, and it was like totally female energy. And my body has had such a good time being a girl ever since. Because man, it flipped when I came in. Well, my essence is divine will. When I first walked in, you're like a baby on the planet. But I would walk in, 100% male energy, divine will. I'd walk into a room, people would flatten on the walls going, "We are going to die!" You know? And I go, "What? I'm just a baby." It does mean that the walk-in thing is a real interesting experience. It's just another way of coming onto the planet. It does not mean you are more spiritually evolved than anybody else. There's a lot of that crap out there. Pretty much there are people who walk in to do one really good mass murder, and they're out because why grow up a body for that? It's just another way of coming onto the planet. One I like because you're at choice. I could go through the entire imprinting of the body and choose what I wanted, and what I wanted to keep, and what I wanted to let go of. And a lot of walk-ins like me, the previous occupant actually is there to prepare the body. The agreement was made before incarnation. She has walked back into a body. She's just as badass in that body as she was in this one. And she's a riot. The girl is a riot. She actually has memories from this incarnation. It's pretty cool. But my body was prepped for me. So my father's dead, and my mother is a Nazarene Christian. And she has no clue I'm a walk-in. That's why should I tell her? Because in her reality is about, 3 inches square. And the only place I ever fit was the label daughter. And I understood that to say anything else, the only place I ever fit was the label anyway, and it could only hurt her. So why would I do that? And I don't talk about what I do. Because why bother? She's a lovely being who's evolving very rapidly. So I think it's really cool when I look at that and see, like, she's gone from the place of, "Oh Lord Jesus, who saved a wretch like me," to God sends his angels to protect me in every way. Every need I have is taken care of. I'm not worried about anybody. Don't worry about waking anybody up. Don't worry about where other people are. They're exactly where their spirit needs them to be at any given moment. You think that spirit can't flip a switch and wake every person on this planet up in a split second? We got some little cards AO put out that says, "God can't do what? What can't God do?" Everybody is as awake or asleep as is necessary to serve the whole. Period. And one last thing. So one last thing, we're going to give you a little treat. I'm going to sing to your emotional bodies. Amasaku, Amasaku, Akirihu Rotsa, Amasaku, Amasaku, Akirihu Rotsa, Omplansink, Asahu, Amasaku, Amasaku, Akirihu Rotsa, Amasaku, Amasaku, Akirihu Rotsa, Omplansink, Asahu, Amasaku, Amasaku. Feel what your bodies feel. Amasaku is one Pleiadian race. There are many Pleiadian races. And this is a lullaby that is used to sing the soul into a new body. And it says, "I am spirit in the flow of my being." Each and every one of us is in a birth, as this planet is in a birth. And it can be as gentle as Amasaku. Thank you very much.